and welcome to the show. Now, I have talked about Group B Rally plenty of times in the past, and I'm sure motorsport fans will be familiar with this wonderful, crazy era of motorsport, to many perhaps the highlight of the rally era. Lots of interesting cars, lots of exciting cars, and Audi really paved the way with the Quattro. It brought four-wheel drive to the world of rally and pretty much showed that you had to have four-wheel drive if you wanted to compete. Lancia tried their very best with the 037, but in the end it was just outclassed by the Quattro. But what happens if we were to go for an alternate timeline? What happens if the Group B era, rather than Audi turning up with a Quattro and thrashing everybody in Peugeot and so on, what if everything had stayed rear-wheel drive? What if we had an alternative rear-wheel drive Group B? So, we went out to Forza Horizon 4 to have a go. We're going to be using a Lancia 037 as a benchmark, built to as close to the kind of Group B specs as we could get one. Now, this made the regulations for everyone else. 825 PI is what we're going to build the vehicles to. They had to be rear-wheel drive, running rally tyres, and tyres no bigger than 265s. The cars had to be from, roughly the appropriate era. We're going to build up the selection of vehicles and go for a knockout tournament to see what would win and if anything could beat the Lancia. So, here we are with our challengers. We have got all sorts of vehicles from, we're talking around the 70s and 80s, if you like. We've got a Camaro is in the mix, our most powerful car, over 700 horsepower in the Bentley, but it is also the biggest and the heaviest. And second most powerful car is my Aston Martin, 666 horsepower in this one, hoping that that'll be good for something at least. We have one of our smaller and lighter vehicles in the form of an Escort. There's a Buick GNX. I'm a little bit worried about the Buick actually, it testing looked quite fun. I'm a bit worried about the Escort, to be fair, quite quick as well. A Volvo is in here, good old, the Volvo went rallying, but was never really a Group B machine. We have the rear-engined 911, of course, that is very good for traction. We have the front-engine 944. There is a mid-engined car in the form of an Esprit, again, that's helpful with the weight distribution going on, so another one to watch out for. We have a Skyline, and rounding out the challengers, we have a Carlton, which is maybe a smidge on. The colour it was based on was maybe late 80s. It's maybe a smidge on the new side, but we're allowing it. I also very much like the Carlton, and I like the livery, so we'll see how that goes. Those are our challengers, and they are going to be going up against the Lancia. The 037 built as close to the Group B specs as we could get it. That is going to be, well, the target. Can any of our cars over here stand a chance at beating the Lancia? We're going to have a 1v1 knockout tournament to find out. So here we are on the line for the first of our heats, and the 037 is going to be running first up against the 944. I will show you the rally stage as this one gets underway. It's a challenging stage, this one. It's quite fast, there's quite a lot of jumps, quite a finish rally stage if you like, but there are some technical sections as well for the vehicles to get into trouble with. We'll have the staging commands and we will launch. It was a good start from that Lancia. The Porsche is a little bit more wiggly off of the line. Now, this is one of the advantages the Lancia has got. It is very light compared to everything else. Probably one of the lightest cars here, and it's got an engine in the middle. So, yeah, it has a really, really good launch. It can carry the speed through these corners. Where it might get beat ultimate top speed, that could be a problem for the car. And mistakes at the end of the day can be made around this layout. As I said, it is fast as we sweep towards one of the... Well, this is a nasty crest, kind of a blind crest. A lot of blind corners around this circuit. The downside of the lightness of the Lancia is it does fly quite a lot over the jumps. It's quite a lot of airtime compared to some cars as we dive. This is the trickiest braking zone on the circuit. The Porsche is throws it a little too much across the inside, clonks the kind of wall on the exit. The Porsche is running well. It says running well. He's behind. He's not so great. It's trying its best to keep up. This Lancia is just very fast. This is one of the toughest corners on the track. The Lancia runs wide. What is the 944? Oh, it's sideways over the crest. Keeps it on the gravel just about. The Lancia, they're able to carry some more speed. Now we come up towards the really twisty section towards the end of this lap here. The Porsche very sideways in the background here. Around the hairpin we go for that Lancia. Where is that 944? Still sliding its way through here. Oh, no, you don't want to cut too much because there's a wall there and that slows you down. You lose all your momentum clonking into that wall. Meanwhile, the Lancia is coming up towards the final few corners. And this section here, relatively flat, relatively level for the cars to deal with simple corners. The final section coming up, you don't really get a good view of it so much from drone mode, but this corner is completely blind that the Lancia is taking. You've got to really set your car up for it before you get to it. We're through the water splash, and then we just have 2 more corners to go and an acceleration towards the line, and the Lancia is going to get through round number 1 here as it runs up towards the finish line. The finish line is up here, but the Lancia, it knows it's got a comfortable lead in that one, and it is the Lancia through. The Porsche tried, maybe overdrove a little bit in the latter stage of that one, trying to catch up, but it did not quite have an answer for that Lancia. So there we have it. The Lancia is through to the next round. Up next, we have got, well, I mean, this is the duality of British engineering. We have a Bentley Turbo R fighting against a Lotus Esprit. And only on Horizon 4 are we going to have these two battling it on a rally stage. The Bentley has a lot of power, is surprisingly good for what it is. The Esprit's mid-engined, much, much lighter. The Lotus should walk it, but this is Forza and anything can happen out here. Off the line, the Lotus will get that good start. Now, the Lotus has got to worry if the Bentley gets ahead of it at any point. If the Bentley gets ahead of the Lotus, it's going to be very difficult to overtake because the Bentley's quick down the straights, not as bad in the corners as you might think, and is very long and very wide. It's just difficult to overtake it at a normal circuit, let alone on a track like this that is not easy to pass. You head through these first sections. The Lotus has got a little bit of a lead. The Bentley's not, fallen crazy far back. Oh, missed my drone shot a smidge there. Now this is the section where maybe we might see the Bentley start to reel in that Lotus ever so slightly. It's got 700 plus horsepower. That is a lot of horsepower in that car, even though it is plenty big and plenty heavy and everything. It's still a huge chunk of power. The Esprit gets stopped at the landing zone of the jump. Bentley wipes out most of the street furniture through there, as you do. Are we going to see any troubles? This is the corner. If something's going to go wrong on a run, this is one of the most likely spots that we're going to see trouble. Now, the Lotus doesn't have to go crazy fast through there. Indeed, it's a little bit safe from the Lotus. The Bentley is absolutely going for it, as you might expect, is bobbling across these crests, across these bumps, towards the hairpin. The Lotus ran very, very deep through there. I just caught it while I was getting the drone in position. Just caught the tail end of it. The Lotus ran very, very deep. He's going to be glad that it had a fairly sizable lead, or a decent enough sized lead over the Bentley, so as not to be in trouble. He's still a silly sight seeing the odd Turbo R running around this rally stage, but there is not long now to go for the Bentley if it's going to find a way to catch up to the Esprit. I think it's going to come down to the Esprit makes a mistake, really. There's a couple of places where you can come undone. Well, one particular one here, if you clip the wall, or like that, the Esprit's lost all its momentum. That is not what was needed for the Lotus. Is the Turbo close enough? Not quite. The Esprit, thankful, having a big enough gap in this one, is going to stay out in front. But as we run up towards the finish line, it's going to be the Lotus that will take victory. The Bentley will come home in a second place. Bentley put up a good fight. As I said, if it got ahead of the Lotus, I think the Lotus would have struggled to overtake it. But in the end, handling beats brute force around this particular stage. Up next on the grid, we have got a Porsche. We have the 911, I think it's the Turbo we've got running in this, and we have a Camaro. Now, the tyre rules, of course, limiting them to 255s mean the American cars don't get their crazy advantages with having humongous rear tyres. It is all even. Of course, the Porsche is going to have a very, very good launch. It's got the weight over the back. It's going to launch well. It's going to be comparable, perhaps even to the Lancia at the initial getaway, but apparently the Porsche is quite difficult to drive in these conditions, so we will have to see how it goes. It is a good jump between both of them. The 911 does, as kind of expected, start pulling away down towards this first corner. Are we going to see? Technically, we haven't had an overtake yet on the rally stage. Is the Camaro going to be able to find a way past? It's certainly looking around the back of that 911. They're just a slightly wonky line into that first section as the cars run up the hill here. Okay, we're going over the crest. Now this section, I love this section. This section is great to drive if you get it right. If you get it wrong, though, you can be in all sorts of trouble. You really don't want to hit the walls. That will cost you momentum, which is what the Chevy has managed to end up doing through there. Now, it's not completely game over. There's still a bit of the run to go. There's still some time to go here to try and find a way past. There's still, is a nasty bump for the Camaros. Ended up out quite wide through all of that. Oh, God, the 911 has had a big problem at the bottom of the hill there. Lost a load of time. That was what I was going to say is one of the big danger zones there. If you get the braking wrong, and the Porsche flew very nose down. Pretty sure it's smacking the splitter on the floor in the braking zone was not helping that car. Rear wheels just weren't on the ground. This is the next big troublesome corner. What is the Porsche going to be like? It's out very wide. Oh, the 911's in a world of trouble over there. The Camaro's even more sideways than the Camaro's spun. Oh, the Camaro threw it at the corner. The Camaro hadn't chucked into the corner with quite so much speed. I think it could have actually made an overtake stick there. But they were both very sideways at that particular juncture. The Camaro has fallen back. I found a tree with the drone. I didn't have this problem in the Group B days. But, yeah, the 911 has now got a little bit of a gap. That one corner is the corner that is going to catch. It's going to continue to catch cars out as well. It is so easy to overdrive. It's so easy to get yourself in all sorts of trouble through that section. Here comes the 911 sliding its way through these, I say, more straightforward corners. The Camaro is, I mean, he's trying his best to cover. Unfortunately, there is not enough time. As long as the fence is avoided down here, which it is, for the Porsche, we're through the water for the final time. And it will be heading up towards the line for the 911 to go through to the next round. Yeah, Camaro, it's a little bit unlucky. Just very similar mistakes made by both the cars at crucial points. There is the Porsche through to the next round. The Camaro is not quite out. There will be a Mega Spanner final going on, but the Camaro is out of the running for the overall victory. Up next, we have got fairly similar coloured vehicles, the kind of white and blue going on. We've got the Volvo 240 Turbo and a rear-wheel drive converted Escort. We know the Ford is likely to be pretty fast in this one. Not sure about the Volvo. Not sure how that's going to fare in all of this, but we will get them ready and we will send them on their way. Oh, it's a slow start for the Escort. It did a little jump from the first part and then held, and I wonder if it got slight confusion with the start sequence. Either way, the Escort is going to have to overtake on this course, which would be a first. We haven't actually had overtakes, often owing to mistakes around here. The Ford is good through these corners by the looks of it. That was just sure, runs a little bit wide through all of that. And it's just, where are you going to get your pass done? Do you have a dive somewhere in through these corners here? It is kind of single file. It's very difficult. The Volvo slides up in front of the Ford here. It's very difficult to pass just because it is so narrow. There's about one line that works. Over the crest we go. The Volvo is a little too much on the inside. The Escort might sense an opportunity, but it's a very tight line. They bump doors. For all of that, we're now coming up towards the crest. This is one of your good spots for an overtake, and the Ford gets it stopped. The Volvo's out very wide. Grabs the handbrake, stalls it a little, getting going again. Yeah, that was the place to make a pass if you're brave. If you get it wrong, though, you are going to go shooting up the escape road and get into trouble. Now comes the next dangerous corner. What are we going to see from these cars? Are we going to see more spectacular sliding from vehicles? The Escort is across and through, and the Ford is quite wide through all of that. The Volvo is more on the circuit, that's for sure. The Escort's quite wide, but it's not like horrifically wide. It's not the worst thing it could be. Up towards the hairpin, the Volvo's going right into a left-hander and taking out someone's house is going to be without electricity now. They're not going to let us do rallies around here again at this rate. Volvo's very slidey by the looks of it. The Escorts will lead into the now slightly twistier section, the little slightly slower section, and it stops dealing with bumps for a while through here. And then we've just got the dash to the finish line. I think it's going to be difficult. Volvo is sideways and into the fence. And Escort actually clipped the fence as well. The Escort's struggling a little bit down that section. You really don't want to be hitting the fences. You lose so much momentum, especially in the smaller, lighter cars, like the Ford, for example. And it can be quite a twitchy sort of car, this. Front-wheel drive to rear-wheel drive conversions often can be on Forza. As we come towards the finish line, the Escort is going to be through to the next round. The Volvo, it held on for a little while. It just couldn't quite catch up once the Ford had made it past. So there we go. The Volvo will have another chance, though, of course, in that Spanner final. for our penultimate heat, we have got the Carlton and Skyline lined up on the grid. I don't really know what we're going to see from this. Would expect the Carlton to be faster down the straights and the Nissan to be better in the corners, but I don't really know. On this one, we will, regardless, get them ready and send them on their way. Good start from the Nissan. Carlton spins the wheels as it is trying to go. There's a lot of power in that Lotus. Trying to use all of that power is not the easiest thing. The Skyline is up on the two wheels across the bumps. Now the Nissan may be twitch again. This is the small lighter cars. We're watching to kind of see how they react to the bumps. There's a lot of crests to deal with, especially in the first half of this sort of stage. Carlton is clearing the fence out of the way as we head down the hill now. It's not so far back, although a big slide through that transition. You've really got to kind of set some of these corners up, but if you are out of position for one part almost, you end up being out wide for the next sort of 2 or 3 corners, and it really kind of just kills a rhythm and you end up losing a whole bunch of time. Skyline is up over the crest, is on the brakes nice and early. Skyline will get stopped for the hairpin. Here comes the big Vauxhall, well, big Lotus I guess really, sliding a little bit through the hairpin. Now we know the corner that we want to go park the drone up at as the Skyline is travelling along, sliding and bobbling over the bumps. Here we go. How is that Nissan going to fare a huge jump for it? It is wide, it's very wide for the Nissan. Is it going to avoid the house? It does. Keeps it on the circuit. Here comes the Carlton, much more sensible. You can see how far wide, you see the tyre tracks, how far wide the Skyline went. It would have lost some time doing that, but it has got away with it. I think the Lotus must have lost some time elsewhere on this run, as it is now a fair bit further back, heading through the hairpin. The Nissan definitely does not look like it has much traction. Not that many of these vehicles are going to have a crazy amount of traction. You know, the whole point of rear-wheel drive and limiting the rear tyre size and all that. But yeah, some cars look more planted than others. That is for sure. The Skyline looks like it's quite snappy. Where is that? Oh, Lado! Lado is getting the black flag for flagrant disregard for track limits. This one found a tree and spun, I think. Well, it's definitely going to be the Sky that goes through. The Nissan is going to take the finish. It was going to win regardless. The Nissan is across the line, and all the black flags in the world are going to be showed for that over there. It started off well for the Carlton. It was there for a little while, and now it's crashed into things. Definitely a black flag. Yeah, started off well, but little mistakes later on in the run. It just ended up dropping too far back. Well, now it is the turn of the Aston Martin. I am up against the Buick, so this is quite the sort of boatly battle. These aren't the biggest cars here, but overall size, this heat is probably that. We are going to hope that we have got the speed in the Aston Martin. I've got the inside into the first corner. That's quite good. We are off and underway. It's a good launch for the Aston here. We have got the drive on the Buick, so I've got very, very short gears. We've got kind of a rally gearbox, if you will, in the Aston Martin here. Oh, we're going to slide our way through these next corners. The Buick is to the door. Oh, we're ready to the door, to the corner, if anything, through there. We're going to clip a wall a smidge. That Buick can push us, hopefully not too far, though, into the corner. If we have to defend, we will defend. This is the section the Aston's best at, actually, getting it through here. If we weave it down there nicely, we have actually built a little bit of a gap. So the Buick kind of pressures us in the really twisty stuff early on, but the faster corners the Aston does come relatively good. A little bit of a slide, but nothing too bad from my car. We are, a little late on the brakes. Little late. Got to really brake before the crest in this. My saving grace is the Buick did a very similar thing there. So, I mean, these cars, yes, they are heavier. They don't quite get the same kind of hang time as you get from the likes of the Lancia, but there is more weight having to try and slow down when it hits the ground. So we kind of want to have a little bit of a lift through there. Did not want to hit the wall. I turned in a smidge too soon. That actually helps Ewan because I've cleared the wall out of the way for the Buick to get through that section. Now line it up for this next change of direction. This has not been a great run by me, I'm going to be honest with you. The fact of the matter is, though, after a shaky start with the Buick all over the back of us, we have managed to keep it away, essentially. And this is on a not great run for the Aston, so that gives me some hope at least at it being half decent, as we're going to run But you kind of, I do really like that corner because you're kind of balancing it almost on the edge, just sliding around. It's not quite, but it's just very much on the edge of sliding around. Now this section, sadly the run to the end of the stage is not good for the Vantage. It's too sort of technical almost, but we are clear of the Buick still. That's a bit of a bad corner by me. Yeah, it's by far away from a perfect run in the Aston, but it is good enough to make it through to the next round. The Vantage is through. Whoa, the Buick gave us a scare early on. Silly mistakes by me, but still fast enough. The 666 horsepower Aston is through to the next round. We are on to the semi-finals next, and we start with a Lotus versus a Porsche. We have the, I guess, sort of two alternative engine positions going in one semi-final here, so they're both going to kind of be a little bit more perhaps even on the initial launch anyway. We'll see how it goes after that one. We will get the cars ready, and we will send them on their way. Very even jump, actually, between the pair of them. Is almost spot on side by side. The Lotus just starts pulling away. Probably one of the closest launches we've had in one of these sort of tournament races. The Porsche is trying to cut back underneath somewhere through these first corners. Doesn't quite get it right, though, as they head up towards the water. It's still on the bumper of that Lotus. So the bump, I mean, getting the bumps right here, getting the crests right is so important, so you can set your car. As I said, setting your car up for the next section is really, really important in this race. The Lotus is out wide and carries a lot of speed on this run down the hill, and it is pulling a gap actually back to the Porsche we have over the crest. Some cars get airtime there, some cars just get a little bit light through that. The bumps down there for the light cars look an awful lot worse than I've experienced with the Aston Martin. Here we go to the big braking zone after the jump. The Lotus does get stopped. Porsche gets stopped as well. Actually quite sensible from the pair of them there as we head up towards the most challenging circuit on the circuit, the most challenging corner on the circuit, the one we like to see what might happen here. The Lotus absolutely flying down this section. Oh, I can't quite drone mode it through there as well as I'd like. Oh, Lotus hit the wall on the inside through all of that. Where is the Porsche? It is fast through there, relatively composed, relatively controlled, clips some fences through that next section. The Lotus has got this under control at the moment. The 911 is being thrown at the circuit. That is very sideways. Not sure that's going to help. Somewhere over here we'll spot a Lotus. There it is. But either way, like once you start falling behind, it's so difficult. It's so easy to overdrive the car around this stage. It's so easy to push the car way too hard and to really just lose time sliding around. You'll see the fastest cars around here are not really sliding all that much. You don't want the cars to be sliding. I know in real rally and off-road racing is a little different, but in Horizon, sliding is never quick. Oh, Longbow does not like getting past that wall. That's twice now. Less this time around than last, as we can see the Porsche drifting about in the background. It is going to be the Lotus that'll be the first car to make it to the final. The Esprit is through, and there is the Porsche. Yeah, it started strong, but it just gradually fell away. It just couldn't quite keep pace, and yeah, didn't really have an answer for the mighty Lotus. We have got the Lancia running in this next round. Is always a scary opponent here. We know how fast the 037 is. It's going up against the Escort, a good car. It's most definitely, it's going to be a tall order. This challenge is a serious tall order for anything to be beating the 037. But we're going to see what happens. I'm going to launch from that Lancia. Now, the Ford, I mean, if it's going to do this, you want to try and get past the Lancia quickly and then hope you can hold it up or hope that it makes a mistake. Certainly getting past it quickly is going to be difficult when it launches so bloody well. The Escort does look a little more composed in some of these early corners. The Escort seems to be carrying good speed, although you don't want to be brushing the wall if you can help it. Yeah, the Escort looks like it's carrying speed, whereas Lancia does slide around at that little bit more as we head through these next corners. The 037 will lead the way, but the Ford is not so far back. It's carrying so much speed through these turns. Up and over the crest we go. Lancia is bouncing across the bumps. There is a Ford sideways in the background. Now, this is the important braking zone. Make sure you get the vehicles stopped. Lancia is slowed. The Escort is stopped as well. It kind of gets turned in but can't put the power down. It's it's one of those probably infuriating for the Escort, is that it can get turned in and it can carry really good corner speed. Just as soon as there's any traction involved, the Lancia is so strong, and there's a lovely line through there for the 037, whereas the Ford also neatly does it from that car. It's just dropped back a little bit down this back section. Oh, the Lancia was out wide, though, while we were back there with the Escort. The Lancia got into trouble as it's kind of joining the Ambleside Scramble circuit. So as he head up around the hairpin, oh, the drone doesn't go really high enough for me to be doing that shot. That's a shame. The Lancia doesn't have the biggest of leads, but it does still have a lead, and it's not, sadly for the Ford, it's not really in a position to be looking at making overtakes through here. We head around these next couple of corners. The Lancia has, maintaining that gap as long as it doesn't take a trip to the wall down here, which, I mean, is easy enough to do. As I said, that corner there is, blind, you really don't see it, and the Lancia is in all sorts of trouble. The Ford is nicely through there. I mean, it's not far away here at all for the Escort, but it's just not going to quite be enough. It's a spectacular sight as they round these final corners, but it is not enough. The Lancia is through. The Escort put up a hell of a fight. It is so tough going up against that 037, and the Escort gave it a damn good go. It just could not, at the end of it, find a way past. We head on to the last of the semi-finals, and I can at least say there is going to be one front-engined car in the final, either me or the Nissan. The semi-final was random draw, that's just how it is gone. I'm hoping it's going to be me. I don't really know. Don't know much about the Nissan's performance. Here we go. We are being held. There's going to be a go command. There it is. We are launched. It's a good start from the Nissan. That has got off the line well. Here comes the power of the Aston Martin. The Aston's got such good top speed, or relative top speed. I mean, we're not going more than like 100 miles an hour, but we are out wider. This is the section. We know this section is where the Aston is weakest. So, yeah, we know that this bit here is not going to be great for the Aston. We're going to hopefully fight back at the faster stuff around the back end of the circuit and be able to get far enough away from the Skyline not to be under threat. Can we look for a way past down here? This bit is where our car is good. We don't really want to be held up. There's not so much that we can do about that at this moment in time. We're not going to be able to go around the outside there. We might be able to duck underneath and try to the inside up this section. We're on the brakes. Oh, it's a bigger jump on that inside line than if you're on the outside. The Nissan is going to cut back underneath, gets back past us. Now we're starting to think we've got to get a move on here. If we're going to get a pass done, it's got to be done soon. I don't want to have to be overtaking that Nissan in the twisty section at the end of the lap. I don't want to have to be overtaking coming towards this nasty, nasty section. So I will tend to be a little bit slower on the way in here because I know my car has not got the best grip. We are right on the bumper of the Nissan. We're basically pushing it through this. We're going to fire our car past as the Skyline runs wide. We'll block the apex. The Aston is to the lead of the race now, but we don't have a lead going in towards the twisty section. So this is the bit where my car is going to struggle a smidge more. Come on, Aston, use all of that power, and again, the acceleration of the Vantage is enough. There's Morse code going on the bumper. That's fine, we're still ahead as long as the Morse code is going on the bumper. I mean, I was doing it to the Nissan earlier. I guess all is fair in Group B rallying and all that. We will loop our way towards the finish line now. Don't hit the wall that we are coming up to here. We know how treacherous this corner is. We've seen it. Okay, we grazed it, but we didn't hit it big time. Don't do anything stupid through this next turn. I think we might have got it. I can't look back because I'm so focused on getting the Aston around. We pulled a gap. That was one hell of a race. The Aston Martin crosses the line, and it will be the Vantage that is in to the grand final. What a race. That was a fantastic battle. Yeah, the Skyline is better through the corners. However, it's the sheer power of the Aston Martin was enough to take it past. Whew. That's probably going to be the best race I do today, but I will definitely take that one. Before we go into the main event, into the main final, we have the light comic relief portion of the video, where we tried to fit 9 cars on a very narrow rally stage. This is the Mega Spanner Final. All the vehicles that have gone out have been squished together into one race, and we're going to see what happens. It's going to be chaos, pretty much. We are going to get everybody ready, and we will send them on their way. Lado is going for the running start with the Carlton that's gone very sideways and is going to lose out to the Porsche anyway. The Escort got squeezed by everything wheel spinning off the line and is stuck in the middle of the pack. We've got the Volvo and almost at the rear. Oh, the Skyline's gone very wide, unlucky. Got shuffled out through the puddle we go. The banging doors between the Bentley and the Escort up there. The Carlton's holding on in second for the moment, although about to get passed by that Ford. The Ford is so good in the corner. There goes the Buick. Buick and Bentley done well because they were on the second row from the start, so they've worked well to get up into third and or fourth, almost at least for one of them. The Porsche continues to lead the way. That is now under threat from that Escort. The Escort is very, very quick through these corners. There is no doubt about that. It puts a challenge to the Porsche. There goes the Buick. Oh, the 944 is up a position, is ahead of the Bentley. The Camaro is battling side by side with the Nissan, and that's fought its way to the inside. They're 4 wide. There's not room for 4 cars. Well, there wasn't, because the Porsche was out on the, well outside the circuit, shall we say. Well, up at the front, have we missed? No, we haven't missed a... We have just seen a change for the lead. The 911 made a mistake round wide, clipped the fence, and that has allowed the Escort to get past. The Buick is looking for a way past, a little bit leaning on that Porsche as we head up towards the Ambleside circuit route, if you like. Buick's going to slide a little bit wide. Porsche going to fight back and will. Lovely overtake from the 911. Just slides up in front of the Buick, blocks its run. What we got going on further back? 944 is frantically battling with the Bentley. The Nissan has recovered. The Camaro slithering its way through this circuit. There is the Bentley. Where are our leaders in all of this? Found a tree going on over there. The Escort continues to lead the way here. It's kind of become a little bit of a group race, if you will. The Buick's having a look to the inside, actually torpedoed the door of the Porsche. I think the Buick will wait for that one. Yeah, it tried to get to the inside, couldn't quite make it stick there. The 911 comes back on the circuit. In the end, he didn't really lose too much time with the way that it fired off the track, but it was able to get back on. Here we have, it's going to be victory for the Escort. A deserved victory. It definitely worked for it here. The Escort is going to cross the line and will take victory as the king of the spanners. Then we have the 911 ahead of the Buick. Then we have the Bentley followed by the 944. Through the dust comes the Camaro ahead of the Skyline. We saw that get in trouble early on out wide. And then we have the Volvo ahead of the Carlton. It was as crazy as advertised. It was as crazy as advertised. Definitely a good, fun spectacle nevertheless. Well, after that spectacle, we are on to the main final. I'm going to be honest, I'm not holding out a huge amount of hope for me here. Certainly beating the Lancia. Against the Lotus, if I can get ahead of the Lotus, I can probably hold it up, but I don't know how I'm going to get ahead of it. I don't know if I can match the launch of the 2 cars we're racing against. I don't know whether I can match the traction. We're going to do the best we can, though, in the Aston Martin. We're going to fight the good fight for the front-engine machines. We are off the line and through the gears. The Esprit is going to get to turn 1 ahead of us, and indeed it does. Okay, now, bide our time. Try if we can get this section nicely. Maybe we can get past the Lotus and then kind of hold it up a bit. That's what we're hoping for. So the 037 does slide around a lot. It slides around a lot more than my Aston Martin, a lot more than the Lotus by the looks of it, but it just has so much more traction than we do. Thankfully, I ran wide, but the Lancia had cleared the fence out a fair bit. Here goes the Esprit. The Lotus is going for a run here. The Lotus is having a try up the inside. The Lancia is sideways in the air, and the Lancia has lost the lead of the race here. This is not what we were necessarily expecting. From the 037's run wide as well, the 037 has fallen to the back of the group. Can I fend off against it? Well, the Esprit will get to the front here of the field. I mean, I might not be able to beat the Lancia, but I might be able to slow it down long enough to let the Lotus win. There's some weird pseudo-teamwork going on between the non-Lancias. I've gone very wide, though. Oh, too wide for the Aston. We're taking the Colin McRae line a smidge there. Even more has gone wrong, though, for the Lancia. I don't know where the Lancia has gone in all of this. Something has happened to the 037. It may have hit the house. That would be my my best guess there. We're going to try and chase down that Lotus. I don't know if I've really got an answer for it here. But we're going to see what we can do here at chasing down the Esprit. Unfortunately, like, the best section of this track has gone for the Vantage as we go through these final couple of corners. Hoping Longbow hits the wall. Longbow has hit the wall in the previous runs. Does not. Oh, does brush it, but nothing major. Only a small clip on the wall. Through the water we go. We close a little bit to the back of the Esprit, but it's not going to be enough here. We head up towards the finish line. The Lotus takes victory. We will come home in a second place in all of that. The 037 will come home in a third. Now, it had an issue. It had an issue at the bouncy corner. I mean, I ran wide. Lombo ran wide with a Lotus. We ran wide in sympathy. I bailed out to try to make the corner because I was going to hit a tree. We went a little bit exploring on that one. That was quite something. I'm actually really impressed with how well the Vantage kept up. I'm really impressed how close the Vantage got to the Esprit in all of that. That is not what we expected to see, shall we say. I'm very pleased with the Aston Martin's performance. It did good. It did really good for a front engine car. It did do really well indeed. But there we go. That is going to be it for this. So as far as alternative Group B machinery goes, outside of the 037, you know, your options, an Esprit or an Aston Martin would actually have worked quite well for rear-wheel drive Group B here we're talking about. But there we go. That is going to be it for this video. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, a goodbye.